us from Washington. Thanks very much. We want to go to now Representative Shelley Pingree of Maine, who is joining us on the telephone. And she is not only a friend of Congresswoman Giffords, but of course she is an associate in Congress with her. First of all, thank you for being with us, and we're very sorry it's under these circumstances. And I'm just wondering your thoughts at this particular time after a horrible day.
It is a horrible day and a tragedy, obviously, for Gabby, her family, her staff members, and all the people of Arizona. I was thrilled to hear that Gabby is now fighting for her life and doing well. That's just such wonderful news, but I'm so saddened about the staff members that have been lost and other innocent people who are at the site. Gabby and I sit near each other on the Armed Services Committee. She got elected 2 years before me. She's only been in Congress for 4 years, and me in 2. And Gabby is a tremendous fighter, and I know that she's fighting hard right now, but she's just respected by her colleagues. She's beloved. She works hard. And frankly, she loves to be home in her district, meeting with people just as she was doing today. And that's just such a terrible tragedy, that for Gabby to be out there giving people a voice right there in front of a grocery store, someone would do something that's unthinkable.
Is there anything in either her politics or in her nature that would make her susceptible, or that someone would want to do such a thing to her?
Oh, I mean, it's just unthinkable. I mean, you guys are showing all the pictures of Gabby on TV today. You know, every time you see her, she's got a smile. She's got a wonderful thing to say. She and I had a great chat just a couple days ago about, you know, her coming to visit me in my district. She's just, she works hard. She's full of fun. She speaks her mind. You know, there's nothing personally or politically about Gabby that you could say anything bad about. And frankly, again, what's so tragic is she's doing exactly what we all believe, you know, is part of our jobs. Being out there in public, meeting with people individually, you know, letting people know where you're going to be. I mean, this is something that Gabby does probably more than any other member of Congress, and it's just unthinkable that anybody would open a gun, shoot her, shoot others.
Dana Bash was just reading a statement that came from the Capitol Police saying that notification had gone out to members of Congress, and I'm wondering, did you in fact receive notification of this, and also perhaps that, you know, you should be aware of your own personal security concerns?
Well, I'm actually home this afternoon, and funny, as she was saying that, I was trying to see if I could quickly log into my congressional system. I haven't seen that. I'm sure it's been sent to all of us. I will say that, you know, many of my colleagues are burning up the Internet, chatting with each other, you know, crying for Gabby, praying for Gabby over the Internet. But we've also been discussing the fact that, you know, this is what we do every day. And, you know, we all hold these events. They're called Congress on Your Corner. You meet at a grocery store. You know, I sit down with a card table and people file in front of me. And the truth is, sometimes it is frightening. Sometimes there are people who come before you who are angry. We take it as part of our job. And rarely, you know, just as they said today, I don't even know that there was a local policeman in the space. You know, we never travel with security. You know, it's our goal to be out amongst people. But this is a horrible reminder that there are those people in our society who would choose to do things to undo that. And I fear this is going to have a little bit of a chilling effect for all of our staffs, for all of us who like to be out there all the time.
Do you think this will change your own personal way of meeting with the public?
I hate to think so, but on the other hand, you know, we are all subject to occasional threats, to angry letters, phone calls. And honestly, this does give you pause, you know, for the security of our staff, for our own families. It makes you think about, you know, how to best handle your job in a world that is increasingly unsettled and these days feeling somewhat angry.
And just to extrapolate a little farther, we know that Congress was facing a very difficult year. There have been substantial changes in the House, and there has been a lot of tough talk on both sides. And I'm wondering, do you think this will have any impact on all of that?
Well, I certainly hope it gives people pause, both within Congress and outside, about toning down the rhetoric, thinking about the language that we use with each other, about how to, as one of my colleagues, a Republican colleague said earlier today, how to disagree without being disagreeable. And I think particularly those people on the outside, whether it's radio, talk show, or websites, you know, on the left and the right, just thinking about words have meaning. They can incite anger and bad behavior. You know, I feel convinced this was an act of a crazy person who should be should be punished. But the fact is, I think we face increasing anger levels. Many of us feel it at times in the Capitol with people who are outside, with protesters and others. And I'm afraid this will bring about a very serious review about the security level of members when they're in public, and that's just not what we want to have happen in a free and open democratic society.
Representative Shelley Pingree, thank you very much for joining us. She is a representative from Maine.
Thanks, Alex. Let's go to Shelley Pingree, who is a congresswoman from Maine and happens to sit right next to Congresswoman Giffords on the Armed Services Committee. I have to start by saying we are expecting a news conference from the hospital momentarily, so we may have to break away from you, but we do want to keep you here. First of all, your reaction on this very sad day.
Oh, I'm terribly sad about Gabby, for her family. I do sit close to Gabby on the Armed Services Committee. We're good friends. I value her counsel and her hard work terribly. And one thing I know about Gabby is she's a fighter for the people she represents, and I know she's fighting for her life right now. So she's in all of our thoughts and prayers. She's a truly wonderful member of Congress, beloved by her colleagues. This couldn't be a worse piece of news.
This is something that we've been talking about today that is so seemingly routine for members of Congress. You spend a lot of time in Washington fighting for your constituents, and when you go home, you want to meet with them. How does this make you feel today that this has happened during a time that I would assume you do plenty of this yourself?
Everyone does this. We all go back to our districts. We travel through our districts without any security. Gabby was holding a Congress in your corner. That means you sit at a card table in a grocery store, basically, and people line up to chat with you. You meet one-on-one with people. You let everyone know you're going to be there. We've all done many of them. And I have to say, honestly, there are times when sometimes it's frightening. Sometimes people come who are angry, and it can be a somewhat nerve-wracking experience. But we all love to do it. Gabby loves to be home with her constituents. This is something she deeply in and always does.
Has she ever expressed any concern? We've heard some reports today on and off that there have been some what are described as minor threats at her office. Has she ever expressed concern for her safety? Out of the ordinary?
Not... Honestly, I think we all share a certain level of concern. Gabby's never talked about it in any way that's any different from the rest of us. And frankly, we're all confronted with, angry letters and angry calls and occasionally people who confront us in public.
Is there a way that is handled that brings you any sense of peace? I'm sure that when these things happen that you report them. Is it your opinion that they are taken care of responsibly?
Well, every member of Congress wants to be a regular member of the public. So, we don't travel with security around us, and, you're always in the position of being recognized and spoken to. And for the most part, everyone, is wonderful and straightforward and honest. And, there isn't a system for going out of the ordinary with members of Congress, and we're all at public events really often. Gabby was in her district in spite of the fact that her husband is an astronaut and often off training somewhere else. She was in her district every weekend, and I don't know anybody who does more events than Gabby.
Yes, she has been described as courageous by former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, even though she had not voted for Congresswoman Pelosi to be in there. But we have heard nothing but the kindest of words for her today.
Oh, no. She sits 2 seats away from me, actually, on Armed Services, and I've never seen a time that Gabby doesn't walk in, pay attention to all the debate, ask questions of the people who are coming before us, and at the same time, she's writing letters and reading briefs and doing 4 other tasks at the same time. Nobody works harder than Gabby. Just last week, she and I were planning on trying to see if she could come and visit my district at some point. I mean, she's just always on the go, a good friend, just a wonderful person, and this could not be more tragic.
Do you feel that this will change the way that you and other members of Congress will do things in the future?
Well, I mean, that's one of my fears, is that every time there is an incident like this, it makes people more and more reluctant to be a part of participatory democracy, and that's so fundamental to our country. And I can speak for so many of my colleagues. We want to spend our time, engaging with our constituents in public life. But what has happened today to Gabby, to her staff, to innocent people, makes this very complicated.
Have you been speaking to other members of Congress today about this? And if so, what is everybody saying?
Well, we've been emailing back and forth with each other in long emails, particularly many of my freshman colleagues and sophomore colleagues. Gabby was a sophomore, as we say, just started her third term. If you can shed tears over the internet, there's been a lot of that going on today, and a lot of prayers, a lot of thinking about Gabby and her family and her husband.
We do understand that there are some services planned for today. And what would you like to send out to Congresswoman Giffords and her family today?
Just our greatest
thoughts.
hope that Gabby survives, that they all know that we're thinking of her and her family, and we care deeply about them.
Are most of the members of Congress, are they in Washington now, or have they mostly gone home to their own districts?
The members of the House finished up their work about midday Friday, so we are all back in our districts. Virtually everyone is I'm home in the state of Maine, and my colleagues are emailing each other from all over the country. If we were together in the House today, I think we'd all be, sitting around just thinking about Gabby.
Well, thank you very much, Congresswoman Shelley Pingree, for being with us on this very difficult day for you, I am sure.
Thank you. Thank you for your thoughts.
Alex?
Okay, Melissa, thank you for that. And we're going to go right